The Danny Britt Show live from BowTie Barbecue. Christian Gokel alongside Benedictine head football coach Danny Britt. Always good, coach, to do these after a win. And you guys go up to Jessup and blank Wayne County 40-0 there. And I know a beleaguered Wayne County team this year, a team that's really struggled to get anything going. But anytime you can go into a region opponent's house and put a 0 up on the scoreboard, that's a big deal.
That is. That was big. I thought the defense played really well, which they should have, certainly against, their offense is struggling and have a lot of really big guys, good-looking guys, just not really any athletes to move the ball. So, defense played well, I felt like, and it was a very, very good week to get Amari, feeling good and getting some live reps.
And you mentioned Amari there, so let's start there, Coach. His first ever start for BC, and he comes in, and I think the first drive was a little bit shaky.
Right.
And I think that's not just him. That's any quarterback trying to get the feel for a game there. First drive shaky. Next drive comes out, delivers a strike to Jack Gainham for a long touchdown pass for you guys, and you guys were off from there. I thought we talked last week, about what was the strategy. Was it going to be, hey, hand the ball off 40 times and just try to get Amari out of there with a win? Or was it going to be, hey, we're going to cut it loose and see what we have with him? And I thought that was pretty evident from the beginning. You guys were going to let him throw it. He's an athlete, just a sophomore, but a guy who's got a great arm, can extend plays. And I thought he came out there with no fear and was able to deliver some really nice passes.
Yeah, like I said last week, he's got the quarterback personality, mentality. He is that. He showed that last year as a freshman on the baseball team. Just calm, cool, collected, and wants to continuously working. Yesterday, we were mostly on Wednesdays. We try to work the offense and defense separately a little bit, just so that we can back off on the reps. The physical pounding, and he had asked Coach Phillips to get some of the younger guys over there, and they're just working routes and working, and he's throwing the ball. So, that's who he is, and he'll continuously get better. And yeah, it isn't like we can't throw the ball with him.
Right.
It's just, it is a different game. So Coach Phillips, I thought, did a great job of adjusting, kind of making it a small script for last week, and just basically asked Amari, what do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah.
And went into it with what he liked and felt good with, and it showed.
And I've been, just with high school football being high school football, I've been next to Coach DePhillips a few times in the press box. And It's always a funny experience because there's no barricade between us, especially in a press box like the away side at Wayne County.
Right.
And there's no separation. So he looks at us, he goes, guys, if there's some colorful language, I just want to go ahead and apologize. And we say, Coach, you cut it loose. We're not worried about it. These microphones right here, you really got to talk right into them to hear anything. But just listening to him talk, and I think it was with Steven a little bit and with some of the coaches down there on the sideline, because Steven Cannon's still very involved with the headset. It was almost like he wasn't just calling plays. He was like, Amari, this is going to be open. Hit your drop and throw it here. And I think that was pretty cool to watch, just that relationship between him and Amari starting to grow.
Yeah, it is. And Coach Phillips is incredible with that. Like I said, last week they had been in. We were practicing in the morning because we were out of school. So we would practice at 8. They were there at 6:45 every day, watching the previous day's film, talking about what to expect, what does Amari like, what does he not like, and those sort of things. And that's what you have to do. I tell you what else has been neat. The helmet microphones that we can't use them in the game, but you can use them at practice. So we have those, and they've been doing that. Was doing that with Steven earlier too. Is in practice, Coach Phillips is talking directly to him. So he's saying, "Hey, what are we reading here?" He's coaching the entire practice. It's really neat. It's really neat to watch.
It's kind of like we talked about with tablets now in game, where it's like you used to, if you miss an assignment as a lineman, you could lie until Monday.
Yep.
But now it's immediately like, no, we saw what happened. So now it's just there's no coming back to the sideline and telling the coach, no, it's like he's in your ear the whole time.
Yep, immediately it's on. So there's no we all did that, right? We were like, I can get by with this for 2 days.
Coach, he's holding me.
Yeah, and then get back and get there on Monday, and you're shown that it wasn't true.
Again, Amari in this one, 12 of 17 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And the interception kind of on a fade route, Coach, where it was a 50-50 ball, it kind of felt like, and the DB, I thought, just made a better play. Just any coaching points for him on that one. I don't know if it was more timing or ball placement, but just late, it felt like.
It was a little bit late, I think. Coach Phillips, he took that on his own. he said, that one interception was my fault. I sent him the stats, and Coach Phillips said I felt really good about what he did, probably except for the interception. But he said at that time the interception was my fault. So early Monday morning, I asked, what did you mean by that was your fault? And he said the coverage dictated to make that throw. We had talked about that, and so, but he shouldn't have thrown it because it, he had told him to make the throw, and then it wasn't where it needed to be. So So, but that happens. You can't. Those things are going to happen with a young quarterback, and you just have to deal with it. And that's how you grow.
And I thought outside of that throw, he played a really clean game. It didn't feel like there was any mishandling of just even the handoffs, stuff you don't think about, where a lot of times you put in a backup and something just seems clunky or a little bit slower on offense. I didn't really see any of that, but just the style he has, I feel like he brings an element where Steven had this too, but not a lot of backup quarterbacks have it, where he can extend plays, but he keeps his eyes downfield.
Right.
And again, that long touchdown to Jack Ganem, he was able to keep his eyes downfield and make a really good throw there. So I just think that, I know against a team that was 0-7 coming into that one, some people are like, I take it with a grain of salt, but I feel like for you guys, I had to give you a lot of confidence going into these final 2 games of the regular season.
It does. And it gave him the confidence, and we'd seen it. We knew he could do it. It's just, you got to go put it on, it on grass, actual grass this time. And
it's amazing that we don't have any soft tissue injuries when we play on grass.
I know, right? It's crazy, but yeah, he did. That first one was he was on the move. He got kind of pushed out of there. He moved to his right really well and threw an absolute rope to Ganem, hit him right in between the numbers, and of course Ganem did the rest.
And I want to talk about Jack Ganem. I've caught some flack this week, Coach, because they put me on the spot, and I'm not saying I regret my decision here, but I get put on the spot every week at the end of the broadcast, picking the Cool Vibes player of the game.
Okay.
And I took Amari because I'm like, dude, a sophomore coming in, making his first varsity start in South Georgia, comes out and goes 12-17, almost 250, and throws a couple of touchdowns. That's player of the game to me. I caught flat all week. Because like, how do you not pick Jack Ganem? And I was like, listen, Jack Ganem does this every week. It might not be the same amount of yards, but the dude finds first downs and he finds the end zone. This week goes for 5 receptions, over 100 yards, and a couple of touchdowns there. I mean, he is a football player, I think is the cleanest way to describe him.
You know what? I would describe him in a different way. I would describe him as a BC football player.
Yeah.
Because he is truly what BC is and is about. And he's very, very athletic, has been since he got here, was just small.
Yeah.
Was a quarterback, a very good baseball player, had a shoulder injury that hampered him there. He adjusted, went to a slot back position. Has done a tremendous job. Everything in the weight room he's supposed to do, built up his body and has done a great job. So he is the ultimate, BC football player, in my opinion.
It is interesting you say that because you look at his mugshot. I say mugshot. It's the one where they're in the tuxedo sitting there. But you look at that one.
Don't say mugshot.
Yeah, no. the profile picture, the headshot. You look at that one, and it's the one where they're all kind of frowning and looking up. But it looks like it could be from the 2020s, 2010s, early 2000s, 80s. He's that kind of guy, and he's been an outstanding football player for you. But I thought what was cool is it feels like a quarterback finds his guy, and it just seems like Omari, his eyes were always tracking for Jack Ganem and found him. And I got it correct. I said 2 touchdowns earlier. It's actually 1 touchdown. One, to me, watching the film, I think he tiptoed the sideline and made it to the end zone on that little bubble screen, but the refs marked him out, and Bubba Frazier friggin' stole one from him the next play. But either way, he was unbelievable for you guys in that game. And again, like I said, it felt like Omari was finding him.
It looked that way. I don't think everything was necessarily designed for him to be open, but that's kind of the way it worked out. So that's great. And I certainly thought he got in on that one too, but we won't necessarily go there on officiating.
I was going to say, let me ask you this about officiating, and it doesn't have to be critical because I don't know how the fine system works in the GHSA criticizing officials, but it seemed like a lot of the whistles were late. That's the one intriguing thing I had. It felt like rugby scrums out there for a long time. Have you ever seen anything like that?
And they never changed it. I have seen it, and I do know that it was a point of emphasis a couple years ago to allow the play to play, all right? But in that case, it just was silly, and people. I just kept saying somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah,
and it was
because you got people flying back into the pile,
just running in, and then somebody just and once this momentum stops, just blow the whistle. And
right.
it was the offense they run. It was I call it like Atari football, and you're moving and and tackle to tackle and it just becomes a rubbish scrum, like you said. But so that helped with it. But I was just like, guys, just go ahead and blow the daggum whistle. They're not. I mean, they may get a couple more yards every once in a while, but for the most part, we're just risking injury here.
I mean, usually when you pick up 2 yards, it doesn't take 12 seconds.
Right.
I mean, that was,
right.
That's Kevin and I were keeping track. There's a few that were over 12 seconds there. But wrapping up offensively here for you guys, Coach Bubba Frazier, another big game for him. I think 13 total touches, over 120 yards of two more touchdowns for Bubba there, but just scoring in a multitude of ways and just, again, being that athlete that we talked about last week where he's going to be the guy. If anyone sees an increase in touches, it's going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's we got to get the ball to him, and we're going to do everything we can to get him the football. And he's a playmaker. He can take it at any time against anybody. Yes. So we got to continue to make sure we make that happen.
I mean, much maligned here, 2 for 2 in the field goal department as well. And did he miss the first extra point going back and watching it on film?
He did miss.
Okay. Because I know we were watching, we're like, that would look mighty close. It looked like one side called it, and the other side.
It skimmed the outside of the post, so it was a miss.
I'm sure Connor hasn't been very nice to himself about that miss.
Yeah, we he moves on. He's pretty calm guy, and it certainly in this case it didn't affect it. And
that's one of those ones where you watch Tiger Woods stripe it down the middle 100 times in a row, and then we puts one of the woods up.
What
did I see that? Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball. Again, a shutout. I know it was against an offense, like you said, that was 2 yards in a cloud of dust, but man, mentally, you have to be ready for that. And I thought the defensive line did a really good job of just sticking their face in there, play after play after play. And I think as much as y'all were sick of playing that, I think Wayne was done playing big number 55 by the end of that game.
I think so, yeah. Of course, they were doubling, tripling team Cameron and he still made a lot of plays and was moving and running through them and had a good game, really played well. And yeah, I mean, they were ready. I thought the defensive line played well. Jameer Lee got his first start as a freshman, and he did a good job. There were some times where he looked like a freshman and then some times where he looked really, really good. So, we're going to need a big one from him this coming Friday too.
And I know the secondary, it was very rare, like maybe once every 10 plays they took a shot. But I thought when they did, I know they completed 1 or 2, but they were kind of like looping over the top, and there's always someone there. I thought the secondary did a good job in kind of balancing their commitment to the run game, but also not letting anything get behind.
Well, that's what we talked about all week with them. In this game, I said that the passing game is not very good.
Yeah.
But what they try to do is just lull you to sleep and get you just running into the pile to try to do something, and then they hit it over.
There's a guy 30 yards behind you. Yeah.
Right, and so they did a good job of maintaining the focus and discipline, and they were where they were supposed to be. At the end, we had a couple of the twos, be out of position once or twice, but that's it.
And talk about the twos there. You put them in the fourth quarter, and I don't know what it is about the first team, but I haven't seen the first team have a 100-yard interception return yet. But the second team has 2 so far this season.
They do. So, Marquis did a good job of going and getting the ball, and the safety, I think it was Robert, was there.
Yes.
But Marquis kind of took it from him and then turned and took it 100 yards for a touchdown. I was proud for him.
And, Coach, before we wrap up this one, it's not often on here we come back and give credit to an opposing player, but I don't know that anybody's really popped against you guys. Like 19 for Wayne kind of popped in that game. I thought we couldn't find his name on the roster. It's just one of those things, high school football, where I think numbers get switched. But 19 was a dude. I thought he played a pretty excellent game for any Wayne fans maybe watching this recap.
Yeah, definitely he did, and he's a really big kid, good-looking, beautiful kid, and no, he played well. I thought so, and was very aggressive, and I think was talking a little bit, and all of that. But at the end of the game, he was finding the dogs on our team, and congratulating them and that. So hey, he's a player.
Again, it's not a lot of times I hear AJ DePhillips saying, "Hey, we need to block that person," but that first couple of drives, hey guys, somebody's got to find 19.
No, he's a good player.
We got to put a hat on him. Again, big 40-0 win there for the Cadets, improved to 4-3 on the season, 2-1 now in region play, and another massive region game coming up against the defending 4A state champion Perry, coming to town this Friday night. We're going to take a quick break, and we will preview that game next right here, live from BowTie Barbecue on the Danny Britt Show.
BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature, wood, smoke, and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah. At Benedictine alumni-owned Stacked Firewood Delivery, we're all about the best premium firewood, conveniently delivered in manageable stacks at the right price. We're talking kiln-dried, pest-free firewood. You see, our custom stack is equal to about 10 fires. Choose oak, cherry, hickory, or mixed hardwoods. Stacked Firewood Delivery. Go to stackedwood.com. That's stackedwood.com. BC Brothers Moving is Savannah's most trusted moving service. From residential to commercial to packing supplies, BC Brothers does it all. Let BC Brothers' energetic, trustworthy team wrap it, pack it, and move it for you. Check out BC Brothers online at bcbrothersmoving.com or give them a like on Facebook. Ace Hardware is celebrating 100 years of helpful, and Island's Ace Hardware is Savannah's own. 318 Johnny Mercer Boulevard in Wilmington Island. They're our hometown, locally owned Ace Hardware. From A to Z, they've got it all to help you get things done. Island's Ace Hardware is a proud BC sponsor.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Welcome back into the Danny Britt Show, live here from BowTie Barbecue. And, Coach, a big one coming up, and a game in which I feel like you guys are going to have to lean on those upperclassmen and the experience that they have.
Definitely. Abel's Iron On Moore and Associates invites you to join them in congratulating this year's seniors. It is senior night. Let us celebrate the hard work, dedication, and heart these young athletes have shown on and off the field. Go Cadets.
And a big one coming up, Perry coming to town, and they very much a program on the level that you guys like to be at and have been at for so long now, a state championship level program. And, Coach, before we dive into the preview, you guys doing something a little bit different, going to wide out Memorial Stadium.
That is the plan. That we've got a lot of people excited on it. Stephanie, my wife, has been really pushing it and encouraging people. I think they've ordered a bunch of, white towels, what are the boom sticks or whatever they're called, the loud ones. And, a bunch of stuff to really kind of celebrate it and want to get behind these guys. I think everybody, in Ware County, when Stephen went down, like we talked about previously, it was almost like a funeral in there, and people were leaving before we even fell behind. Yeah. But so hopefully we can come celebrate these guys and stick with them, whether we go up or down or whatever happens, that those things are going to happen in the game, and we just got to keep pushing.
And here's my thing with that. You obviously, before anything else, I think, I should say before anything, but way up there in the hierarchy for Danny Britt is just you're a football fan, right? Regardless of the level. I bet if you walk by a 5- and 6-year-old football game, you're stopping and watching for at least a couple of plays because you're a football fan, and you only get a few of these a year. Right. It's the only sport really where you practice more than you play.
Right.
And you come out and you have, in high school, 5 guaranteed home games a year. Coming in, you get a bonus one this year just because of the hurricane and that. Right. But with that in mind, I can't imagine any situation where you want to leave early when you only get 5 of them out of 52 weeks.
I agree. I don't understand. Come in, enjoy it, celebrate. The guys out there, and it's a short moment in their life, and we want to celebrate them and push them to a victory. And it does help. It does. I was talking to people.
That's a big time phone call.
That is a big time phone call right there. I'll have to call her back. She's not Southern Britt, my daughter, today. She's Southern Britt, our real estate agent.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I'm sure she's on me.
Well, she should know what time the daggum Danny Britt shows at.
That's what I tell them all the time. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, these guys have worked hard, and we just want to really give them every opportunity to be successful, and it does matter. Crowd noise does matter. The environment does matter. It does affect. That's why you hear Kirby talking about it all the time. It does affect the players.
And it's one of those things where I think sometimes success can breed complacency, and that's not just on the team. I think that can be with the fans as well, where it's like, we'll kind of start packing out quarterfinals, maybe semifinals is when we'll start showing up. It's like, it's got to be day one. And again, I know y'all spend 365 days a year at work, at home, talking about this stuff. Show up for the 5 games you get a chance to show up for.
Well, and here's the other thing. That is one reason we chose to play up into this very, very tough 4A division, because we could have been in the other division, that Calvary's in, and literally go play and beat people by 50 points at halftime every game.
Right.
When we did that years ago, the fans quit coming, and they would be like, well, we're not just going to go watch you beat up on somebody. I don't know why you're playing these guys. So we're no longer playing those cats.
Yeah.
We are playing some really good dudes and really good teams. So, hey, come out and support. And that may, every once in a while, that may mean you're supporting us while we're going to, we're losing, which was happening against Ware.
Yes.
You got to do that too. That's part of it.
I know a big one coming up. You talk about playing the big boys. That doesn't get a whole lot bigger right now in the state of Georgia than the Perry Panthers coming to town, a team that won the state championship last year. And it's a program, coach, where I watch it. You look on Huddle and you look at just how they play the game. It's kind of like looking in the mirror for you guys.
They do a lot offensively. They do a lot, emotionally. They have a lot of different skill players that can go. They're using 2 quarterbacks, although I think one has more, gets more of the percentage of reps and stuff, but very similar guys. And then defensively play very well on defense, sound and play hard and good in special teams. So, I mean, I would hope, the programs are very similar.
And I know you want everybody hyped up, just kind of chomping at the bit to get out there and play this football game. Is Amari maybe the one guy that you're like, hey, let's just try to keep it like right here during this game?
Yeah, I think so, but it's his personality. It's like Steven. That's Steven's personality. He's not a get all excited, up or either way, good or bad. Just kind of stays there, and I mean that's what you want in your quarterback.
Some of those baseball guys, you got to be a certain kind of person to stand here and let people throw something at you 100 miles an hour over and over and over again. But again, he's I don't think he's going to flinch. If anything, it might be maybe being too aggressive or just not seeing something, but he doesn't seem like the type of dude that's going to flinch.
I don't think so. I think that's not his personality. Again, he's calm and cool, and I think he'll be just fine.
And then another guy I think is going to have to be big, just kind of loosening up everything, is Stanley Smart. He went for 80 yards against Wayne, and it felt like kind of a quiet 80 yards, but it was about 10 yards at a time, and picking up 5 yards, keeping you ahead of the chains. I thought that was big.
That is big, and we're going to need him to do that again this week. And then. Every once in a while he'll bust out of there, and that's good. But just keep picking up those four yards. 4 yards is a great football play.
And it seems kind of silly, but I think Stanley Smart, you got to keep him plugging and picking up those 4 or 5 yards at a time. I feel like Bubba Frazier, Jack Gannum, Josh Washington, those guys are kind of waiting for one of them to take that 5-yard hitch, break a tackle, and go. Like that's one of those things where it's just you take so much pressure off of your quarterback if you can be the one who makes a play instead of making him deliver a ball 50 yards downfield for you to score the touchdown. I feel like that could be crucial coming up on Friday night.
It is, and I mean Perry does the same thing. They do a lot of wide runs, which is what it is. It's basically just getting the ball out real quick to the athlete in space and having them make a play. So we got to be able to tackle in space, and we know that's what we try to do to other people, make them tackle us in space.
Defensively for you guys, I know that front seven is going to be important. I think one group, because they've done a really good job this year, has been the linebackers that we haven't talked about a whole lot. But against a team like this, you mentioned that wide zone, you basically have to be like the mirror image running back when you're playing that linebacker. You have to find the hole just like the running backs finding the hole. And I think just kind of watching against Perry, even if you do find it, you got to be violent when you get there.
Got to better be violent because they'll be violent. They, good, very well disciplined offensive line. The running backs, they have a number of them, 3 of them, that are prototypical running backs and can really run and run hard. So we're going to have to get to the hole and arrive in an angry mood for sure.
Again, a massive one coming up on Friday, 7:30 kick. You'll be able to listen to it live right here on watchbcsports.com or on the YouTube channel. And Coach, region play-wise, this one matters a whole lot because right now you feel like you're in the race for the playoffs. This one pretty much guarantees you're in the playoffs and keeps you in that race to win the region. A loss here, and you have to start doing what every coach hates, which is relying on other people.
Right. Yeah. No. You win this one. It's huge. I told them that. I said, basically, you win this one, and you at least can control your own destiny and have a share of the region title. So it's huge. Huge for us this Friday, and the kids I think are excited. It seemed to be. We had a really, really good practice Tuesday. Yesterday was we got the work done. It was a little humdrum, so hopefully today we'll get a little more enthusiasm.
And Coach, moving from the high school level to the college level, I know we talked about it a little bit after, but Luke Kromenhoek, last year's quarterback, he is down at Florida State now. And I know they haven't had the season they want to, but he got his first playing time this past Friday night, actually, when you guys were out there on the field. And again, the upset or the comeback bid comes up a little bit short, but didn't complete a whole lot of passes. But you look at PFF, and they said he had one of the highest passer ratings for anybody in the country this past week, was dropping balls in buckets. I don't know if you had a chance to go back and watch, but it was pretty cool to see him doing on the college level what we saw him do a whole lot on Friday nights.
It was. I was excited for him, and right after the game, somebody had shown me a couple of the videos, and so very, very cool and proud for him, and he's going to be a dude. We know that he's my text to him has been just go be Luke Kromenhoek, and that's all you need to do.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous for other teams.
That's right.
Then another guy I want to talk about, which he's been quiet, but that's just kind of his personality. But I think having a really good season and his team having a good season. Eric Hicks at Tulane is redshirt senior now. Has it gone that fast?
He is a 6-year senior.
Good night.
So he's getting a second master's in finance.
So going to be making more money than both of us.
Oh my! Real fast, actually.
But having a solid season out there with the Green Wave, still the team with the coolest helmet in my mind in college football.
I love it. I still love Tulane. Of course, that's where my youngest daughter, Sailor, went, and I was a big Willie Fritz fan, when he was there. So, it's a neat place, and Eric's just made us all very proud.
Okay, cadets all over the college football landscape, and maybe some cadets in the NFL in the not-too-distant future. But, again, massive game coming up. It doesn't get much bigger than this in the state of Georgia. BC against Perry in Memorial Stadium. Again, if you're coming out to the game, which we encourage everyone watching to do, wear white and be loud because you got to show up for this one. For Coach Britt, I'm Christian Gokel. We appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thank you. Go Cadets.